What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Looks like Floyd Mayweather versus Saul Canelo Alvarez has recently broke a record. The record is for the most money generated live ticket sales. This has surpassed the live ticket gate in the Oscar De La Hoya fight. Previously, before the De La Hoya and Mayweather fight, the record was held by, I believe, Lennox Lewis versus Evander Holyfield. Um, and the figures, although they aren't fully calculated, it's already close to a little bit shy of 19 million. So it looks like with the price of the tickets and how fast they sold out, it looks like this is going to be the biggest live gate that they've ever seen. And that's a lot. I mean, that says a lot. Again, Oscar De La Hoya was an established pay per view star. Mayweather was pretty deep into his own career. He hadn't moved up to 154, so a lot of people went to see that. It was also on Cinco de Mayo. So, for a lot of reasons, that fight is like a landmark fight in terms of how it shaped the world of boxing. That was one of the early fights where we seen, um, basically, if you look historically, the biggest money making fights are usually in the higher weight divisions. People like the Mike Tysons, and because at the time the heavyweights had a lot of uh, dominant fighters and a lot of good matchups. Also, higher weight classes like Roy Jones Jr. and etc. But that was one of the fights where it's still held in a relatively lower weight division, and it generated a lot of interest. And now we see it happening more and more often. You see people like Nonito Donaire and Rigondeaux generating a lot of interest. I don't know what kind of numbers it did, but I know a lot of people wanted to see that fight. And just people like Abner Mars and people at 140. There's a lot of good fights. And right now in boxing, it's kind of how you market yourself, how your team markets you, your promoters and management, how they market you. And it's not necessarily the biggest stars are just in the higher weight divisions. In fact, the higher weight divisions, especially like heavyweight, is pretty dry. It's pretty dead. I mean, you got some up and comers, um, but the talent pool is not the same. Like, there's no one that I would say gets a 50-50 fight with the Klitschko's, where I think they have a 50-50 fight um, chance of beating them. Yet you got fighters in the lower weight divisions like Danny Garcia and Lucas Matisse. That could be considered a 50-50 fight because both fighters bring a whole hell of a lot. Even Mayweather versus Canelo, I wouldn't say necessarily 50-50, but some people probably would say that is a 50-50 fight. Canelo has a youth, the size advantage. He showed that he has good boxing ability as well. He implemented something new in his last fight with Austin Trout, more head movement. Um, so, again, some people would call the odds on that fight 50-50. And it's just a good thing for boxing. Like I said, this looks like it's going to break a record. Good. Um, what else? In other Mayweather Canelo news, I watched an interview recently where the interviewer, I think this is, the media is notorious for this, but sometimes the media, when there's a certain figure, they feel they can get under their skin. A lot of times they'll chastise them or ask rude questions or try to get a rise out of that athlete. I've seen reporters ask Mike Tyson crazy things, like they're trying to set him off. They ask people like Zab Judah these things. They ask people like Mayweather, not for the same reasons they would ask Tyson or Judah, because I think Mayweather is mentally strong. But sometimes I just feel reporters try to get under their skin. What I seen in a recent interview was the reporter was asking Mayweather to compare his victory over Carlos Baldomir, which went the distance, versus Canelo's victory over Carlos Baldomir, and Canelo knocked him out. Um, the problem with boxing is I don't know the background of people, so I don't know everyone's pedigree. I don't know how long they've been watching the sport. If they're really MMA fans and they just kind of watch boxing on the side, I really don't know. But with me, I watch boxing. I try to stay tuned. I try to keep up with the latest and greatest and the upcoming talents and whatnot. And reporters like that and people who leave comments like that, I really question their boxing integrity and their boxing knowledge. Like, there's no way in my mind that you can compare the Canelo victory over Carlos Baldomir to Mayweather's to make a case for Canelo. One, Canelo was young and he fought Baldomir. Canelo was bigger than Baldomir. Canelo fought Baldomir after Baldomir was relatively inactive. I mean, he had like 2 fights in 2 years, 1 fight a year, and he was pushing 40. Either he was 40 or he was like 39 maybe. Um, Another thing, when Mayweather fought him, Mayweather was the smaller guy. Mayweather fought Carlos Baldomir when Carlos Baldomir actually had a belt. So for the reporter, like I said, I don't know if he was just trying to get a rise out of Mayweather, but I think that's a horrendous, absolutely atrocious comparison to try to, I don't know, get a rise or discredit Mayweather's victory over Carlos Baldomir. Anyway, Mayweather fought the Carlos Baldomir who at least had a belt. Mayweather in the fight wasn't bigger than Carlos Baldomir. Again, Canelo fought a Carlos Baldomir that was pretty inactive, that was 40, and that's a good name for his resume at that particular point because I think Canelo, when he fought him, might have only been 20, but in no way, shape, or form should you compare those two scenarios. And again, Carlos Baldomir is Carlos Baldomir. Like, I mean, when Canelo fought him, I believe he had like 12 losses on his record, and he has like 6 draws. So, I mean, really, that I thought that comparison was horrible. Um, Carlos Baldomir has continued to fight since Canelo. I think he lost 2 times last year. I mean, the dude's done. I think he's been done for a while. His last significant win was over Arturo Gatti and Zab Judah, and that was like in the mid 2000s. And Mayweather fought Carlos Baldomir after he had just defeated Zab Judah and Arturo Gatti. He defeated them in 2006, and at the end of the year, he fought Mayweather. So Baldomir actually had some momentum going into that fight. So, like I said, you can't really compare the situation with Carlos Baldomir and Canelo. I mean, that's like saying Mayweather's victory over Shane Mosley's is less. I mean, I think Shane Mosley that Mayweather fought was more destructive, or he had some momentum. Mayweather fought Shane Mosley at a time when Shane Mosley had just ran through Margarito and destroyed him, who was possibly cheating with the plaster wraps. Since that time, he had a draw with Sergio Mora. He didn't look good in that fight. Pacquiao knocked him down and went on to win that fight. When Mosley fought Canelo, he hadn't won in like 4 years, and it looked like he had just all the way been on the decline. We haven't seen a good Mosley performance. Like I said, I haven't seen the Cano performance, the Pablo Cesar Cano performance, but before that, when Canelo fought him, he still wasn't the best Mosley. Again, a great name for Canelo, for how they were bringing Canelo up and something to put on Canelo's resume, a good test, a stern test. I was okay with the fight, but since people want to compare, if you really look at the actual facts, you can't really compare the Mosley that Canelo fought versus the Mosley that Mayweather fought. I thought Mosley that Mayweather fought had a lot more momentum and probably more confidence. In addition, Canelo fought Mosley, and he's bigger than Mosley, and he's bigger than Carlos Baldomir. So he did what he had to do. He's young, give him credit for the wins, but I mean, he didn't fight the in prime Baldomir or Mosley or even Kermit Cintron. I mean, Kermit Cintron, I don't even know if he even fights anymore. And that just goes to show you the level in which Canelo fought some of those fighters. Like I said, those were good experiences for him. I'm not taking anything away from Canelo's victories. Those are fights and wins that he needed to keep building his confidence. But at the same time, you can't really compare those victories. That's just my personal opinion. Like I said, I'm really excited for this particular fight. I'm looking forward to it. I keep hearing good news, and I'm really surprised that everything is just flowing so smoothly. Knock on wood. I don't want anything wrong to go on, but everything seems to be rolling smoothly. They're hitting city to city. No real hang-ups, no real altercations. Like when Nonito Donaire and Yadimo Rigondeaux were going to fight, it was one thing after another building up to the fight before the fight. And I question if the fight was going to still going on because Rigondeaux was having problems with his promoter. Then Donaire said he's pulling out of the fight if Rigondeaux fails to do drug tests. And then Donaire's team was saying that Rigondeaux doesn't have an address on file for the VADA or the Olympic style drug testing to contact him. They have no way of getting hold of him, and he's going to pull out of the fight and just all kinds of crazy shit. But with this, both fighters want the fight. The fight's still going on. September 14th is breaking records. Let's go. Let me know what you guys think. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.